Hi, this is Tracy from Tracy's Easy Eats. Today I'm going to make something I call everything stew. And that's when you have a bunch of stuff from your fridge or freezer and you want to put it together because you don't know what else to do with it and make a stew. And it's super easy once you get everything, cut up, to just throw it in the Instant Pot, and I'll show you the whole thing. But first I want to show you what I'm going to put in the stew. Check this out. These are, I like to keep, once I wash and cut up my produce, I like to keep them in bags. That's just what I do. You don't have to do it, but I like to. And these are bags of different washed and cut up produce. This is actually all good stuff in here. There's celery, bok choy, broccoli. I just haven't used it all. So I want to make use of it into something delicious, and that's what I'm going to show you. So you saw those bags that were on my floor that I just sort of scooped from the fridge down onto the floor. You don't have to do that, you can put it on your counter, but that's kind of my method. This is a Saturday, so I was cleaning out my refrigerator. So this is a wonderful way to kind of see what you have in the refrigerator and actually make use of it. The hardest part is like picking through and seeing what's good and bad, and then chopping stuff up. And the part that I'm going to show you, this is the easy part. The cooking is the easy part. So actually, I'll show you my compost bin. I've got like a lot of stuff that I didn't feel was good enough to eat. And I want to warn you to not put stuff in here that's brown or smells bad or is too old to eat cooked, because it will kind of ruin your entire stew, and you don't want to do that. So you actually want to use like good ingredients that are just ready to be used up. You can use fresh vegetables, like the ones that I cut up here. You can use frozen vegetables. Frozen corn actually tastes really good in this. And then I always like to use some type of tomato sauce. You don't have to do this if you have another way to flavor your stew. Like let's say that you want to use some type of broth or soy sauce or some other other flavors that you like, then you don't have to use the tomato sauce. But since I don't typically use broth that much, I like to use tomato sauce. You can use jarred tomato sauce. You can use just some cans of tomatoes and dump them in. A couple cans of tomatoes usually is great. So let me go ahead and make the stew. The first thing that I like to do is put in the water. When you put the water in, make sure you're putting it into the inner pot and not accidentally messing up your Instant Pot, because then you have to spend a couple days letting it dry. So actually, normally when I cook, I don't even put this in until I have my ingredients in. I'm going to do that because I don't want you to get in a bad habit, and I try not to get myself in a bad habit of putting things in here. It's much better to put them in here and then use this like, I was going to say like your stove, but a lot of times people throw stuff in the pot while they're cooking. So never mind, bad analogy, but anyway, you get the point. So if I can come around here, I'll show you what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to put in a cup of water. It doesn't have to be exactly a cup. For international audiences, a US cup is, I've just read about this, it's 240 milliliters. But it doesn't have to be exact. You're just getting some water so the Instant Pot doesn't burn. Next, I'm going to put fresh or frozen vegetables in. These are, I chopped up, I had some cilantro that we weren't using fast enough. So I actually just chopped that up. The flavor of cilantro will diminish when you cook it, so it's hopefully not going to be too cilantro-y. I've got some green onion, some bok choy leaves, some carrots. The carrots weren't going bad, but I know carrots just taste really good in here, so if you have a lot of carrots that you want to throw in here, it's going to just make it better the more carrots you put in. Like I said, corn also tastes good. Oh, here's some, I want to show you this. This is some kale that I use the leaves, but what I like to do with the stems is cook them up like a vegetable. So I chop the stems up with whatever leafy parts were hanging onto them. This is lacinato kale, really healthy stuff. I don't think I have any celery in there, but celery's good too. And then I'm going to throw some of these. I have never actually put okra in here, but I've been wanting to use okra. So I got some frozen okra. I bet it'll taste good. Let me just dump it in. If it doesn't taste good, believe me, I will let you know. I will not lie to you about how it tastes. And then I had some bell pepper that was getting kind of old to eat fresh. I like to eat them fresh, but it was getting old. The broccoli needs to be eaten up, so I cut that. You can see how much work this is. Now what I'm finding as I'm pouring this in here I'm getting up to it says here, PC Max 2 third line. You don't want to go above that. So I'm not going to be able to use all this stuff in here. Let me just get the bell pepper in, and then I can cook the broccoli separate in my microwave, or do whatever I want with it. I like to eat broccoli fresh sometimes, but if it gets too old, then, not too old that it's like bad, but like older, then I like to eat it cooked, because I have stomach issues and I have to eat my cruciferous vegetables very fresh. So there is a nice, like almost up to the line, or it's even like pushing the line. You can push it down, like if you have greens and you want to get more in here, there's no rule that says you can't make it more compact. So actually, if I wanted to put some more of this broccoli in, I could. Put a little bit more. Especially the stems, they're really nice cooked up in here. Yeah, I don't want to get, let me see. Should I chance it? Let me see if I can push all that in. I mean, I kind of would like to get it all cooked, because then I don't have to worry. I mean, part of doing things easily is kind of getting everything done at the same time if you can. And you can see I'm being a little awkward here reaching around, because I just don't want you to get in the habit of throwing things in here. Once you get in that habit, it's so easy, like one time out of 1,000, to accidentally throw some water down in there. And that's just, you don't want to, you want to be able to use your Instant Pot and not have to worry about it getting messed up. So I think this is going to be okay. I don't usually get it this full, but this is a cooking show, and it's like I have to kind of go with it, right? And let me show you also what else you do here. So now if you have herbs that you want to add, like I have these mixed Italian herbs, you can throw some of that in there. You don't have to. It'll taste fine without them, but why not? I just want to show you all the options that you have. And then if you have onions and garlic, you know, you don't have to use fresh onions and garlic. You can absolutely, just to flavor things, use granulated, or I don't know what this is called, but like little, what do they call it? Dried chopped onion. So if you want some of that, you can throw it in at any time, either in the beginning or now. Now if you threw, I don't know, if you threw this chopped garlic in at the beginning, I wonder if it would kind of burn, so maybe it's better to put it on the top actually. You can also put, if you have this kind of spice that's like small, like a granulated thing, you can also put it in later. Just season it whenever you want. You can put salt and pepper in here now. You can put salt and pepper later. You can leave out the salt if you don't eat salt. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do, just throw it in there. When it's done, you can just season it again. Also, this doesn't just have to be a vegetable stew. You can throw some cooked grains or beans in there, and then or cooked noodles. That's I don't usually do that, because I actually like to just get all the vegetables done, and then people can add things when they want to. But if you want to just make a stew and just like have something for everybody to eat, and say you have some cooked rice or some noodles, the one thing about throwing noodles in there is if they're already just perfectly cooked, they're gonna get kind of soft and soupy. If you do it while you're cooking this other stuff, it'll still be palatable, but for something that's like just the right texture that you don't want to overcook it, I would kind of like add it at the end and let it kind of warm up, or put it on saute mode. But anyway, I'm not going to show you all that, just to let you know that you can add beans, grains, cooked stuff, like beans and grains that are already cooked. I haven't tried it with like pink lentils. That might work, but I don't know how well it would cook up. But I'm showing it with vegetables, because that's what I normally like to do. I like to just make it a vegetable stew, and then put other things in it as much or as little as I want. The last step is I'm going to put the tomato sauce in. You can use, like I said, canned tomatoes or jarred tomato sauce, but do not put it in first, because what tends to happen, if you were to put that tomato sauce in like around the same time I put the water in, it's going to tend to burn on the bottom, which doesn't like really damage anything, but it's just, it kind of messes you up, and you don't want to do that. So put the tomatoes on the top so they don't burn. So I have just here's some tomato sauce. A lot of tomato sauce is actually really good, rather than skimping on it. So like sometimes if I'm using canned tomatoes, I might even use 2 cans of tomatoes. I don't personally really like to use canned tomatoes at this time, because they tend to have some preservatives in them that I don't really like getting. Whereas I notice the jarred sauces, a lot of times I can find them without those preservatives, like calcium chloride. So that's why I tend to gravitate towards the jarred sauce. You could also use fresh tomatoes. So there you go. So I think I'm right at that limit. I hope I don't burn this or cause a problem. I'll let you know what happens when it's this full, if it's like really like a serious issue or not. So now I'm going to put it in here. This is my extra jar. I actually had my son open this. It was really hard to open in case I didn't have enough tomato sauce. Let me put this over here. And I'm going to put the lid on. Make sure that the vent is in the sealing position. The vent, I don't know my terminology yet, so whatever this thing is, I'll figure this out. I'm gonna put it down here, but make it sure it's pointed like that way to the diagonal so that's sealing. And let me show you the setting. This is why it's so easy. So I'm gonna press pressure cook, and I was cooking some noodles, so I have it on low at 7 minutes. I'm gonna check it down to just 1 minute. And high pressure, you want high pressure so that the membranes of the vegetables really break down and it becomes a soup. And I will show you the result and let you know how that okra tastes in there. I don't know if I wonder if it's gonna cook enough. We will see. So I thought I would come back at around 10 minutes of natural release time. Natural release time is the time that it's already beeped, it's already run through its program, and then it's just sitting there and naturally releasing the pressure. You can actually release this like sooner than 10 minutes. It just won't cook quite as much, or you can release it an hour later. It'll just cook a little bit more. It kind of self-steams. The 1 minute timing is good because it tends to kind of like cook everything pretty well, and then when it sits, it cooks it just a little bit more. And I find it just works very well, even for the frozen vegetables. However, I've never tried it with frozen okra, so this is like a new thing for me. Let me see, I haven't done this in a while. Let me see what the pressure release is going to be like at about 10 minutes. I'm going to come over here, I'm getting my face away from the Instant Pot so it doesn't splurt me. And let me see how here, use the handle. Let me see how the pressure release does. I'm doing it kind of gently because I don't like it when it just pops up too much. There shouldn't really be that much pressure at this point. Okay, I'm wrong. There's a lot of pressure. I guess I usually wait longer to release it, but usually I just let it go and I don't worry about it, and then I come back. It's pretty, it kind of takes care of itself. It's like a set it and forget it thing. Got my little tasting spoon and container so I can tell you how it tastes. This is my refrigerator clean out day. I really should do this more often because I really don't like when I have all this good produce and it goes to waste. So that's a good reason to use this recipe, is to, number one, clean out your fridge. Number two, use any frozen vegetables that have been sitting in your freezer so that you use them before they go bad and get freezer burn. And number three, have something really good to eat. The reason why I like to do this with just vegetables is because, first of all, I can fit more vegetables in. So if I have a ton of vegetables like I did today, I have that ability. You can see that the little silver thingy, whatever it's called, has gone down, indicating that it's safe to take the lid off. And I just realized that you can't see it and it's hot. So let me see if I can do this without burning my hands. I like to use folded up dish towels for like pot handles because I like the flexibility, and then I don't have to worry about getting out, what are they called? The things that whatever, I use this. But you have to be careful because sometimes it'll like drape into the tomato sauce. So I've just learned how to do it. I wanted to show you what it looks like after it's cooked. Notice the tomato sauce is on top. That's how you want to do it. You got a nice liquid in there for your stew. Notice how the broccoli is really well cooked down, considering that it was only done for a minute. So I think the vegetables are going to be really good. I could have come back a little bit earlier and the broccoli wouldn't have been so cooked down. And now I'm going to mix it with my nice sturdy wooden spoon here. Let me see if I can show you. This is the first time, see, everything is new to me. I'm so new to this and I'm learning. I would love for you to be able to see what this looks like as I'm mixing it. There we go. See all those vegetables? They just all cook down. I'm mixing everything together, the tomato sauce that was on the top with the water that was on the bottom. The little seeds are from the okra. And if I put even more tomato sauce, that would have been pretty cool, but you don't need to. You can just do what you want. I didn't add any salt. You don't have to. A lot of people watching this may be interested in being salt-free or reducing their salt. So I'm just letting you know it's going to be really flavorful just as is. I'm not going to add any salt when I taste it because I want to see what my reaction is. Actually, I don't know. This might be too hot to taste. I'm not going to burn myself just for the sake of this video. And I like to do things I don't like to have to edit too many things, so I like to do them in as few, what do you call it, cuts as possible. Let's see. I'm going to blow on it and see if I can get it to cool down. I learned a long time ago that a metal implement like this will absorb the heat. And so if you put something on a spoon or a fork that's metal, it'll cool down faster because this is a conductor. Metal's a conductor of heat and electricity. So this is the trick for cooling it down fast so I can taste it. Not bad at all. Especially considering the cilantro is actually kind of an experiment. I'm not used to like cooking up a whole bunch of cilantro in a stew, and it did really mellow out. And if I were somebody that wasn't used to eating salt, which I am, I actually do eat salt, and even though I do eat salt, I really like it. What's so cool about this is that all the flavors are combining together, and so you don't have to use a vegetable stock because it's making a vegetable stock. This is really good, and I could always add more onion powder, garlic powder, whatever I'm using for salt, whether it's salt. My mom uses mushroom seasoning instead of salt because she tries to go low salt. More pepper, more of whatever you want, you could add it. But now I have a base for a really healthy, delicious vegetable soup. It's got all those nutrients, all that fiber in there. I can add rice to it later. I can add cooked noodles, beans, or anything that I want. And I've used up stuff in my refrigerator. And I finally cooked that okra that I've been trying to figure out what to do with, because okra is supposed to be really healthy for you. So, if you've enjoyed this recipe, please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to have many more of these, including little shorts where I show different like healthy eating ideas, weight loss tips, things like that. Please subscribe. Like any videos that you've enjoyed. It really helps me within YouTube. Share this with your friends if you found it useful. And until next time, remember to keep it easy.